Pretty excited about this week's podcast. Luke May, the Stress Teflon Author, is back in the house. How are you, mate?
It's been a while. It's good to be back.
And you just went on a 5-day reset, and we're going to chat about that.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Let's rip in.
Welcome to the Body Science Podcast. As always, the information contained in this podcast is for the information purposes only and is not designed to diagnose or be prescriptive to treat, prevent, or manage any injury, disease, or other health-related condition.
Welcome to Body Science HQ, the world of fit, happy, healthy. I'm going to throw in there people doing extreme things in the search for knowledge. And, mate, you just went and did a 5-day fast by yourself.
I did.
And you did some pretty different things to a traditional fast. You set your own guidelines here.
Yeah, I did. I think one of the things that we're all getting distracted. Everywhere we look, there's phones going off, there's emails going off. We've got distractions everywhere. And I really want to write another book. And I just found myself getting blocked. And like I had stuff to put in there, but just couldn't quite get that time to actually have clarity of thought. And so I decided I'd been on a leadership camp a few weeks ago, and at this place, it was in Mullumbimby, and it was this beautiful valley. You couldn't see signs of another person anywhere, and they had a big ass teepee. It was like a 20-foot high teepee. And I asked my friend Anna, who owns it, any chance I could come down and spend a week down here? I want to write a book. And he went, well, I'm going away in 2 weeks' time. It's all yours. And so I had 5 days of complete solitude.
And the interesting part here, Luke, is you went there with 10 litres of water and that was it.
Yeah, no, I had a bit more than 10 litres of water. Okay. I got fully loaded up thanks to you. A fair bit of body science stuff as well. But yeah.
But you're fasting, so what did you have?
I had green tea.
Yep.
And I had shred in the morning.
Okay. So that's so shred, green tea and water is what you took away for a 5-day trip.
For 5 days, yeah.
What did your wife think when you said you were doing that?
She's just a saint, obviously.
So she's gone 5 days without Luke.
Yeah, 5 days without Luke. Merry Christmas. No, she's actually really good with stuff like that. She's just like, okay, well, that sounds like something I wouldn't want to do, but I can see why you would. And yeah, off she went.
Now, you're an avid faster. Like, that's part of your life. Every week you have fasting in your life.
Yep, I do.
How's a traditional week look for you?
I don't eat Mondays. Almost invariably, if I don't eat Mondays, if I do eat Mondays, I won't eat Tuesday. So I'll have at least 1 day of fasting. If I want to lose weight, I'll do 2 days a week of fasting. If I want to just stay normal, I just have one.
And mate, before we kick off onto fasting, do you want to explain your theories around why you started fasting? Not the science you've dug into since, but the reasons why you started fasting for people out there that have thought, maybe I should, or there's a lot of people out there, banging out 16-8 all day long now and not really trying that hard to do it. It's just sort of happening in their life these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, I guess the thing that tipped me over the edge was I went away for a weekend, and as you know, I'm not the best at moderation, which you know pretty well. So I'm definitely
there's a table you can get up on, Luke will be up on it, just so everyone knows.
If there's fun to be had and chips to be eaten and pies to have and beers to drink, I'm all over them. And just found myself doing that whole yo-yo thing, just losing 5 kilos and putting on 6, and had basically been on a diet for 20 odd years and had never really kept the weight off. Every time it came off, it just came back on, and usually with some interest, which I'm pretty common sort of thing that
you're not alone there.
Yeah, you're not alone. And so about 3 years ago, I read a book called The Obesity Code by Jason Fung.
Yep.
And Jason Fung's an absolute guru. There's heaps of YouTube stuff with Jason Fung on it. There's one called the 2-compartment model, and I watched that on YouTube as well. And it just looked at what happens to your basal metabolic rate and all of that sort of stuff when you fast. And it just seemed, the science of it just seemed to make sense to me. And I think once you can convince yourself of the science of it, it actually gets a little bit easier. So that was about 3 years ago, and I went from about 118 kilos down to about 98 within the space of about 3 months. So
nice.
So I dropped
So not a lot of other changes outside introducing?
No, not much at all.
Yeah.
Tried to get a little bit better on the days when I wasn't fasting, but yeah, we'd just do a 1 or 2 day fast.
And your fasts are traditionally shred in the morning and green tea during the day. Is that what you do?
Yep. Yeah. Green tea's amazing, actually. Without green tea, I think one of the things about fasting is everyone looks at it as being something that's meant to be hard. And I think there's a really cool combination when you add all the things I've learned from Stress Teflon and how stress works and how cortisol works and how all of these systems in our body go, and then added that to actually put a sort of positive emotion around the fasting and said, okay, I'm hungry. Cool, I'm hungry. And there's a certain acceptance that comes along when you add the Stress Teflon stuff I've learned to the things I learned about the mechanics of fasting that just made it easy.
Yeah, okay.
And I found it easy to do that for one or 2 days a week than I found to actually monitor and think about food every day and all of that sort of stuff. So
yeah, well
it was
played.
just the one that worked for me.
Yeah. So mate, let's talk about, before we get to your 5-day reset, your traditional Monday of food looks like what? You get up pretty early in the morning?
I get up very early in the morning, and I have a shred straight away and go for a ride. I ride a bike every day, either out on the road or...
And you pretty much have the shred first thing in the morning before that because it gives you that mojo to keep going, or you just like the taste?
I just love shred. Shred's just like the best stuff ever. If you want a little poster child of someone that absolutely loves shred, I'm it. I love it. It's the best stuff in the whole world.
So you get up early in the morning, you have your shred.
Yep.
You ride a bike for 40 minutes, 45 minutes?
Yeah, I'll read or write or something for about half an hour.
Oh, okay.
And then
while that kicks in.
Once the shred gets on, do an hour on the bike, no matter what.
How many calories are you doing in that session?
It's a bit hard, but probably about 600 to 800.
Yep. Okay. So you're fasting, you're already 600 calories down.
Yeah.
So then you get off the bike. Obviously, you've got books to write and work to do, and you do a lot of consulting and one-on-one stuff with people and mentoring. When do you start to hit the green tea?
Usually about 9-ish.
Okay.
So when other people would probably be just finishing breakfast.
Yep.
And I always get my first little pangs of hunger around about then too.
And you find the green tea helps you get through that?
Oh, massive. I have it in a big 800 ml, one of those Voss.
So there's a lot of water going in there.
A lot of water in there too. And so the thing about that, it just fills you up. So you're just not hungry after green tea.
And you drink that quickly or you sip on that? You scull it?
Yeah, you know me.
Yeah, you're not patient, I know that. So what happens next? What's the rest of the day? So we're at 9 o'clock in the morning now.
Yeah, and just get on with whatever you're doing. If it's a fast day, I will quite often, you're always going to get these sort of ghrelin spikes. You're always going to get these little waves of hunger that are going to come through. And I think one of the things as humans, we kind of have this thing that if I'm really hungry at 11 o'clock, I'm going to be absolutely starving at 1. And by 3 o'clock, I'm going to be ravishing. We kind of have this tendency to want to make life linear. And the thing about it is it's not. We get hungry on the times when we normally eat. And if we can write it out and make sure we time our day so we're really busy on those times, then we just ride through those little ghrelin waves, and then you come down to a spot where you would normally not be eating anyway and you don't even notice it.
So you're busy. You really turn on around 11 o'clock. When are you having? Are you having 2 green teas a day? Or one?
Yeah, I'll have one mid-afternoon.
Mid-afternoon. And is that based on habit or is that based on?
Yeah, that's probably based on habit. More from just that little bit of caffeine to sort of keep the day going.
Yeah, because we've got 50 megs in there. What happens after that? You just water into dinner and then go to bed early?
Yeah, definitely go to bed early.
Yeah,
definly go to bed early.
But you get up early, so it makes sense. You still do. Yeah. Okay.
I'm a big fan of some of the work on circadian rhythms. Satchin Panda's work on the circadian code was just amazing to sort of make sure you set your body's clock by seeing sunrise pretty much every day. So I try and see sunrise every day. One of the things about the longer fast too is you do get a big cortisol spike. So you do get that sort of stress hormone hits that your body's saying.
And you're calling a full Monday a longer?
Mondays, sometimes I'll eat dinner, sometimes I won't. If I want to go 36 or longer
fast. Oh, so you're going from the night before's dinner through. I got you. Okay.
So some days will be a 24-hour fast. Otherwise, I'll go to lunchtime the next day. So it's more like a sort of 36 to 40-hour fast.
Okay. Well, and what have you noted in your life by doing that?
My pants fit better. So you definitely lose weight. But it's actually, there's a cool thing that when you kind of do it, if you can attach the positive emotion to do it, it's like, I really feel good in my body when I'm doing this. This sounds really pathetic, but I'm getting old and I have a bit of arthritis in my big toes, all right, which sounds really pathetic. Yeah. But if I fast regularly, the arthritis in my big toe, the inflammation in my big toes doesn't hurt as much.
Oh, so it's been really...
So there's just really noticeable, that's as specific as my big toes don't hurt if I fast for at least a day a week.
Okay, that's really interesting.
Just to get rid of that inflammation.
So, mate, you're a faster, which you've all established now. So you woke up one day and thought, I'm going to go do a 5-day fast. Is that your longest one ever?
Yeah, I'd done 3-day ones. I'd done quite a few 3-day ones. I do that probably every...
And why are you resetting at a 3-day one? What's your readings and your findings there that you've come across?
A little bit of it's just to, I feel like toxins and stuff are building up. I just don't feel as healthy as I'd like to. And there's something about that. Every time I do a 3-day fast, I always recruit someone else. So I always get someone else to come on board. One of the things on Stress Teflon was the safety of a tribe. And, I'll let myself down quite a lot, but I won't let someone else down. So by recruiting someone else to come along with me, and I've got 2 or 3 people who I'll get on, and if we're going to do a longer one, I'll get someone to come in there with me.
That's awesome.
So I have someone that sort of makes me accountable and makes me not want to give up because I don't want to let them down.
Have you ever asked me?
Yeah.
I can imagine what the answer would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, it didn't go over as well as you'd hope.
No, that's a shame.
But it's
Many tribes to a world, though, Luke. Many tribes.
Isn't there? But there's one of those things about having done quite a lot of them and doing them every week. You get quite used to just that sort of running without sugar, and your body will just produce the amount of sugar it needs, and you're gonna be all right.
Yeah, fair call. So you've had a couple of threes. You're a one a week man, but you've suddenly decided, and this is what I want to get to because I'm a good mate of yours too, and I don't get it. So you've decided to go to a property where no one is for 5 days by yourself, and you're writing your new book and you're bushwalking and you're thinking and you're doing all there's no TV, there's no radio, there's no nothing. So
there's a teepee.
There's a teepee and Luke. Yeah. Did Carlos turn up?
Carlos was there for almost the whole time.
Yeah. Well, Carlos is your alter ego, your better version of yourself. Yeah. So I'm just trying to get my head round for our mates. So I can, when I'm having coffee, I can explain it. No, I'm only joking. That's quite it. And I don't understand what happens to your body in a 5-day fast because that's not my lane.
Okay.
But I should assume that there is some danger with you getting up every day, going for bushwalks by yourself on a 5-day fast.
There is. None of them were too far from where I wanted to be. And I found on day 4 and 5 hills that I walked up really easily on day 1. I wasn't walking up really easily on day 4 or 5. So your body can produce sugar. You're never going to run out of sugar because your body can make it, but you can't make it quite as quick. So if you actually go for a really strenuous, really long bit of exercise, you're gonna start running low on sugar levels.
And how did the brain roll out here, mate? Like you went down there to write a book and you gave it no nutrients except ketones.
I gave it shred and I gave it the
Sorry, I do
green
take
tea.
that back. Let's take that back. And okay, so you've gone, what have we got in there? We've got some caffeine, we've got lots of nootropics
and things like that. So all of that sort of stuff. Your brain runs really well on ketones anyway. So your brain's pretty good for that sort of stuff. So brain-wise,
there's no added sugar in
such
those
issue.
products. So
The really big one when you do those long ones is you've got to make sure you have enough minerals. You've definitely got to make sure you have enough salt.
Yep.
And I'd have and you end up, weeing like Seabiscuit. You're going to the toilet a lot. And because you're hungry, you're drinking a lot too. So I took 10 litres of water and thought, that's 2 litres a day. That'll be fine. And it was sort of...
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well,
when did you run out? Day 2?
Day 2, yeah. Halfway through day 2, I'm pretty much out of water. But
what'd you do?
They had water down there. So the water down there was right to drink.
Yeah.
So I could drink that anyway. So that wasn't such an issue. But I was putting big handfuls of salt and stuff in there because, I'm a big sweaty man too. Yeah. So I actually, you've got to put some salt. If you don't put some salt back in, it can actually be really dangerous.
And your writings for your new book, was it quality what you wrote or was it just gibber? Is that a word? Is gibber a word?
Yeah, gibberish maybe.
Yeah, gibberish, yeah.
Yeah, it was parts of it were great, parts of it weren't, but I guess you're kind of always going to get that in that situation. And one of the things about it is I didn't get to edit. I took an old phone with me. So I had an old phone with no SIM card or anything like that, which was devastating too, because one of the rules, I did a few rules that I had. One of them was no food, obviously. The other one was no internet and no people. All right. And I'm a 98% extrovert. So I actually get a lot of energy from being around people. So the no people bit was actually the bit that got me the most. That was actually the hardest bit. I've done the fasting and I knew I could do the fasting. So that wasn't, most people look at that as being the really hard bit. That wasn't the hard bit for me.
Yeah, Luke by himself.
Yeah, Luke by himself. I'm like Tigger. I want to bounce around and find different people to talk to. So that was the hard bit.
Mate, I've got to say, what was that, a couple of weeks ago you did that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have noticed that you are a calmer human now to be around. I mean, hopefully that'll wear off soon, but it's because you're our little Eveready man. But you've been a lot more zen. Is that the right word to use?
Yeah.
In the last couple of weeks? And
it really
not intentionally
is.
Like you're putting on a bullshit act.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
it just is. There's something about doing something. And part of it was almost one of my intentions that I wanted to do because I'm a squirrel. I get like shiny thing syndrome. There's
I know that. You're Mr. FOMO.
Yeah, there's like, oh, cool. There's something cool on there.
Ooh,
yeah.
Hey, look there, tiger.
Hey, look, something shiny. So I know that's me. And I also know that's part of the reason why I can come up with really cool ideas and stuff like that. And so you want some of it, but I was lacking that bit of focus. And I was getting that because I was constantly seeing the squirrels out to the side and the shiny things. So, and there was something that happened on about day 3. All right. And so day 2, I was devastated because one of my rules was I allowed myself to have 2 hours of music. And I love my music. And the old phone that I had without the SIM card in it, I didn't realize that Spotify had wiped all the music off. So I had no music for night 1 and all of day 2. I had my keys and my actual phone in a kitchen safe, which is like a little time lock safe that you can lock for 24 hours. So I had no access to that for 24 hours.
Good to see you trust yourself.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that's one of the things you got to, if you can take temptation out of the equation, which is actually what made the fast easier, because you can't just walk to the cupboard and grab something to eat.
You did have a lot of time to try and break that safe open though.
Yeah, you could have if you wanted to, but yeah, I had knacks too, so I could have broken it open if I wanted to. But there was something about it on about day 3. I remember waking up at about 3:00 in the morning and reading a passage out of a Jay Shetty book, and it was something along the lines of, if you want to be intentional, you've got to take away outside reasons why you're doing stuff and look within and all of this sort of stuff. And I was just I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to actually get the book written, and I was getting really frustrated on day 2. Like I wrote a thing that I did a little log, and part of the log was how many hunger pains have I had, how many times where I'm missing people, and how much frustration I have. And I was really frustrated. And that moment at 3:00 in the morning, I just read this one paragraph, which was just basically, to be intentional means to get rid of outside reasons why outside definitions of success, I think it said. I just went, well, if I write this book, great. If I don't write this book, great. And it was almost like, yeah, okay. And I literally read 2 lines in this book, rolled over, went back to sleep, and woke up when the sun came up. And there was just something, I think we go chasing whatever things we think we're going to get validation from, whatever's going to make us feel good about being us.
So true.
And one of the things, and I remember thinking this a while ago, is that I've had a tendency to chase validation from particularly from people who don't give it. And I think we all kind of do that a little bit. And there was something about that 3:00 in the morning on day 3 or whatever it was that just made me go, yeah, let's just stop doing that. And the moment I stopped doing that, I just felt myself slow down a bit. I felt myself calm down a bit. And yeah, I don't know. It just felt a little bit zen. There's a thing in Buddhism about, before enlightenment, you chop wood, carry water. And after enlightenment, you chop wood, carry water. Yeah. And it was kind of like that. I was literally chopping wood and carrying water. Did
it change it? I mean, obviously you're someone who Ford thinks that's why you're an author. Did it change the approach to your book, that day 3 moment? Did your book suddenly take a whole lot of new meaning, or have a whole lot of new, I know you module things up, like you write books and you put modules with them you can then have further learnings with. Did you find a whole lot of new?
Yeah, probably did. Probably a lot of the ones that I was probably writing them with an end in mind, and I kind of stopped doing that. I just wanted to write something that you could read and I would actually benefit from it. And I figure if I'll benefit from it, then so will quite a few other people. So it was more just sort of trying to get some clarity on that sort of stuff. One of the things I have noted though from it is that my ideas are way better when I'm bouncing off someone else.
I think that's most people too.
Yeah.
Mate. Yeah. I know here teamwork here is everything here. Like
I just was watching you guys out doing some stuff out there before, and it's amazing how that different opinions came from everywhere, and you're getting enough of them, you're going to end up with something good. So.
Yeah, and people got to feel safe to have one. I mean, as long as they feel safe and they know they're being listened to, doesn't mean we'll do it. But that's part of the journey, if you ask me. If you're looking to build a state-of-the-art showroom and you're looking for fitness equipment, have a chat to the guys at Verve. Why would we pick Verve equipment?
We got, in simple terms, it's really good quality, absolutely amazing service.
There you go. You heard it from the man who is the CEO. And if you're not getting that, I believe you can contact him. And if you're looking to find out what they do, get on board at Verve_fitness and check it out on Instagram. Mate, let's talk about that on the 5-day fast. What did you know about fasting that was going to be your issues over a 5-day fast?
What did I know about it in terms of how I was going to feel?
You're pretty, I mean, I know you don't want to talk too much about it because you're going to say it's not my lane, but you are pretty knowledgeable on fasting.
Yes.
So you obviously went to the bush. You didn't tell anyone where you were going. You didn't have a phone that was working. So you obviously did a little bit of risk analysis before you went there. What are the types of things that you looked at leading into a 5-day fast?
First one was water. I knew I needed to have enough water. So I knew there was water there. So that wasn't such a big issue. The second one was definitely salt. I knew that you had to have enough salt. And they were probably the 2 key ones. Things like magnesium were great. You got to make sure if you're going to write a book too that you're sleeping well. And one of the things I have found in longer fasts in the past was my sleep. Your sleep isn't very good because...
And why do you say that?
Well, what happens in a longer fast is your body actually produces more cortisol, because from a caveman point of view, and I love coming back to caveman.
Yeah.
From a caveman point of view, if you haven't eaten for 24 hours, your body's saying, get up and go. You've got to go find some food. You're going to get hungry. All right. So I knew my cortisol levels were going to be higher trying to get to sleep, which is actually where the calm stress support.
Oh, did you take that as well?
Yeah, I took that as well. I had 2 of them next to my bed with a bottle of water. And so if I woke up at at 1 or 2 at night. I took 2 of them.
Well, that's what I tell people, don't open the jar, don't go to that strategy.
Yeah, you told me that a year or so ago, and I've been doing that ever since. That whenever I'm not sleeping well, I do that. And there were nights I had like 10 and 11 hours sleep, which I just never have 10 or 11 hours. Now I normally are 6 or 7. And I'm out.
So you were very aware that sleep was going to become an issue, but you were having 10-hour sleep. What do you reckon that was?
I think it was just the calmness. I think there was less distractions and less things stimulating you all day. So your bucket's that little bit more empty. I have this analogy that I use in a lot of my corporate coaching and stuff, that you have a stress bucket, and as it fills up, when it gets too high, you quit, you tap out. And when it gets too high, you also don't sleep very well because you've got a lot of things rolling around. But because I'd kind of got that little bit zen and got that little bit calm, there was so many things that I wasn't thinking about anymore. So my brain was just quieter. I did a lot of meditation and stuff like that as well. So I'm no meditation guru or anything, but just to actually stop there and try and clear your mind a little bit. And I call it mind awareness because I can't bring myself to say meditation. Did a fair bit of that as well. So I was managing my stress levels deliberately.
Okay.
And I think that's something that we've probably, as a society, we've got to learn how to do a little bit better. And my whole thing is that stress is good for you. It's all okay. But you've also got to know how to get it down when you've got to get it down. And that's where things like calm stress support came in really well, particularly at night. And I just slept beautifully. Just had this quietness that my brain's not used to. My brain's normally got monkeys and squirrels running around there, and it just didn't. So there was something really nice about just sort of stopping and accepting that this is what you're doing, and I'm going to do this for 5 days, and I want to do it, and I'm doing it for me. I'm not doing it for anyone else. If I finish the book out of it, great. If I have to do a heap more when I get home, great. But there was just an acceptance that this is going to be cool, and I think it's probably a bit of the stress Teflon puzzle I was probably missing in the past, and there was something about that 5 days just made me go, yeah, cool. I have an acceptance that I probably didn't have beforehand.
So when we look at your last book, Stress Teflon, there's a fork in the crossroad. Is that the right word to say?
A fork in the stress road?
Fork in the stress road. And so you're talking a challenge or a threat. So you stop and think about where you want to go. But when you were doing your 5-day fast, you didn't have the threat. You had the challenge, I assume. So did it change your theories a little bit on?
Probably not so much on that, because your brain can turn that challenge into a threat.
Yep. Okay.
Oh no, I'm starving. Look how starving I am. How am I ever going to get through these 4 days?
I'm
really, really stressed. And then you've turned it into a threat. And then you're in what we call an old brain shitstorm. So the fight or flight part of your brain is going off, and the new part of your brain is just feeding into it, saying, you can't do this. This is terrible. This is a threat. This is a threat. You've got to go and eat. You've got to go and do something. And that's when stress doesn't help. But when it's a challenge, and when it's something that you've accepted and you've gone into and you've attached a positive emotion to it, then this is the mountain I want to climb. You bet. Bring it on. I can't wait to get to the top of this mountain. It's going to be wonderful.
Nice. And mate, would you do it again?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah, I definitely would.
Solo?
I think I'd probably like to do it with someone else, but have kind of rules on, I'm going to go off for the next 3 or 4 hours by myself, and I'll see you over a fire at dinner.
Yeah.
Or whether you have dinner or not probably doesn't matter.
Nothing like a good airbox.
but things like, I remember the very last night, and you're getting pretty hungry by the last night. It's not exponentially higher than the other ones. But
is that knowing that you're coming to the end of it though that's doing that? Yeah, it is.
There's actually a thing that happens as far as your cortisol levels and your adrenaline levels go. When you know you're about to get food, there's a little cortisol spike, which is a weird one, that food's coming, here it is, and you get a little cortisol spike. That bit when you're plating up dinner and you're ready to go, and it's like, come on, hurry up. You're getting that little bit hangry. That happens. That's a physiological thing. It's something that happens when you know food's coming. You just get a tiny little spike before it happens. And it was really weird. I went and caught up with my wife at her work for lunch that day, and she was stuck talking to a patient and stuff. So I was just out in the office, just sitting and chilling. And normally I'd be like, come on, hurry up. And I'm just like, it's cool.
So did you, because you're a few hours away from where you live?
Yeah.
Yep. So you didn't stop and get anything to eat on the way home?
No.
Wow.
No, I wanted to have my first meal with her. So.
Wow, that's nice.
And I had some sweet potato chips. And it was just like the best tasting sweet potato chip I've ever had in my life. It was just beautiful.
Don't know if that'd be my go-to after 5 days.
I had a burger there as well.
Oh, good.
I had one of those burger salad things there as well. So that was all cool. But it was fantastic. But it was really weird that I wasn't, if that was a normal Tuesday, I'd be itching, come on, let's go and eat.
Yeah, okay.
I'm ready to eat. And it wasn't. It was just, there's a calmness. And you talk about people who want to do, say, a marathon or something like that. And, they go and train for the marathon and do that. And I'd been training to do something like this for a long time. So, it wasn't like I was just going out and doing it. Yeah. But there's something about almost that sort of spiritual fast. And that sounds a little bit wanky. And I'm a normal Aussie bloke that's not the sort of thing I talk about, but it kind of was that a little bit.
Okay.
It was that little bit of just calmness and a little bit of acceptance. And, you know, one of the big parts of my new book is about reset, and reset is changing your environments, changing your systems and habits, and changing your actions of what you do. And at some stage, if we keep on doing the same things we've always done, that whole Einstein thing of doing the same thing you've always done and expecting a different result, at some stage we've got to reset it properly and, you know, clear it out and start again a little bit. And I felt like that's what this was. And I highly recommend it to anyone. You have to do a little bit of work leading up to it, particularly if you're going to do the fasting side of things. You have to have done a little bit of work and know what you're doing a bit. But there's something about just having that bit of time to yourself to actually just reflect and just to be grateful for the things that you have and just to get rid of distractions for a while. And I really loved it. I'm eternally grateful for Arna for letting me have his you know, property for that time. And it was a great experience. I really enjoyed it.
That's awesome, mate. So any last thoughts for anyone out there who's looking to get into some type of fasting? And I'm not talking someone doing a 16-8. I'm talking someone who's going to go a couple of days. Have you got any tips?
We'll go back to the 16-8. That stuff's really easy. You can change the times you eat by about 45 minutes a day and your body doesn't even really notice it.
Yep.
So you can push that breakfast back 45 minutes a day for a week and a half, and then all of a sudden you've
So nice being self-employed.
breakfast. Yeah, so you can you can do that pretty easy, and that gets you through to lunch, and then you got your 16-8 pretty much done pretty easily.
Okay.
But I reckon the key with it is that when you stop and get those hunger pains, and they're going to happen, you're going to get those ghrelin spikes and you're going to feel like you're hungry. That's just your cue to sort of say, yeah, cool, I'm hungry. Have a glass of water, have a green tea, and then go and get busy and do whatever you do. And they go away. It's just surfing that urge. Yeah. And so once you get good at that and you put yourself, you set up your environment so that's easy. Like I know if I'm not going to eat on a Monday night, I'm not going to be in the house when my wife and daughter are eating. You know what I mean? I'm going to come up to your place and we're going to train and I'm going to do, and she's really good in that she'll time it so that they're having dinner while I'm off training with you guys.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So you can set up your environment so you don't want to be doing this so it's a really difficult, really hard thing to do, because what's the point of that?
Yeah, exactly.
You want to do it so it's actually beneficial and your body feels good and your body goes into repair mode when you haven't eaten for that long, and you fix things like your big toes, which you wouldn't have done otherwise. And there's something pretty cool about that. And then once you've learned how to do that for a day or two, you can go longer. You just got to make sure you keep your salts up and your fluids up and that sort of stuff.
Nice. So, mate, you've done the no food, no tech, no distractions. Thanks for coming on and talking about it. For those people out there that are looking to get a little bit more from you, they can contact you how?
LinkedIn's probably the best place.
Yep.
Just Luke Mathers at LinkedIn.
What about the people that only do cool social media? Where do they go?
Yeah, they won't find me because I'm not that cool.
Wow, okay. Don't know what to say after that. Can they email you?
They can. Luke@lukemathers.com.au.
Perfect. So if you want to talk to Luke, open up a LinkedIn account because you probably don't have one, or jump on email, and you answer most of your emails that come through?
I do.
You do?
I do. We're actually running a stress reset camp, probably going to be at the start of August, with Ryan Tuckwood from Swish Coaching Academy.
Don't tell me you've got him going out to a TP with no phone for 5 days.
I don't think he's going to handle no phone
for
too long. But Ryan's got some great insights into how to set up your sales systems so that they're really ethical and not stressful. And the way he teaches his sales processes and the way Stress Teflon work actually go in together really well. So we're going to have a 3-day reset that's going to be a bit of a combination of both of those. So it's going to have things like yoga, but it's not going to be a yoga camp. It's going to have business stuff, but it's not going to be a business camp. And it's going to have a mindset and awareness stuff, but it's not going to be a mindset and awareness camp. It's going to have all of those things. Yeah, we'll keep you posted on that.
So if people want to find out more about that, they just email you?
Yep.
Gee, I would strongly recommend they email Ryan because your sales skills are terrible.
Yeah, you don't want to talk to me about sales.
You're too honest.
But talk to me.
I'm only joking. So Luke@lukemathers.com.
Yep,
.au. So if anyone's interested in changing their life and learning a bit more in that space, jump on, email Luke. They can download your book, Stress Teflon by Luke Mathers.
You can get that at Amazon. It's probably the best place to get that one.
Perfect. It's actually a good read. I've got to admit, I was there during the writing of that book a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I did teach Luke how to mind map, and he totally...
I'm the mind map guru now.
Filled out his bottom of his house with all these A2 posters, and it was...
I have...
Yeah, there was a lot of them everywhere. And then every time I went over, I had to go through them one by one. So jump on Amazon, grab Luke's book, Stress Teflon. Don't be afraid to email him. And once again, if you're fasting and you really want to get into it, Luke was into our green tea, our shred,
We might
and
put the
our
stack
calm
up
stress
that
support.
I have in the show notes.
Yeah,
And,
can we?
Yeah.
Jump on the show notes, bodyscience.com.au/podcast. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Cheers, buddy.